2021 Cooper Kupp broke football. Ain't that the year he had a triple crown? You know what's crazy? I forgot he was on the Seahawks, so I played Madden. No BS. I thought it was on the Rams this whole time. I'm tweaking. But let's get lock in.
Okay, so it pains my heart to see this man, Cooper Kupp, in a Seahawks jersey. It's a rough sight. But once upon a time, not Jerry Rice, not Randy Moss, not Kadarius Toney, but Cooper Kupp had the
You ain't squeezed the Kadarius Toney in here with these other goats, my boy. Relax. You should have said Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston. And then you had some valid points if you would have put them two in there with them two, because that would have made sense. Facts.
the greatest wide receiver season in NFL history. And I mean, this season goes so far beyond impossible.
I don't know why you're saying stop.
A beautiful orchestra that combined the genius of multiple different people, which led to this masterpiece. But this season was years, if not decades, in the making. For more than a decade, the Rams were the laughingstock of the league. It was simpler times. They had Sam Bradford, Steve Spagnuolo was the head coach, Jeff Fishers roamed the earth, and this team was atrocious. But the Rams organization changed forever when they hired Shanahan disciple Sean McVay as the youngest coach in NFL history at the time. And immediately, he became a top 3 coach in the league, reviving Jared Goff's career, made the Super Bowl, and a year after that, in 2019, McVay's scheme helped Kupp reach 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. But after 2020, Cooper Kupp had been in the league for 4 years now, but had only one 1,000-yard season. Why? He got a lot of owies. Like, a lot of owies. Hell, you could even make the argument that if Cooper Kupp didn't go down with a season-ending ACL injury in 2018, the Rams could have won the Super Bowl. And again in 2020, he suffered a knee bruise that forced him to miss the playoffs, which meant it was time to swing for the fences. Jared Goff out, Matthew Stafford in, and these two, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, formed the greatest non-Hall of Fame wide receiver quarterback duo in NFL history. The 2021 Rams were flooded with question marks. I mean,
best in the I don't know if it's the best non-GOAT or non-Hall of Fame in history. So that's a lot.
The Rams just gave up Goff, 300 draft picks, and Les Snead's right kidney for Stafford, an injury-prone quarterback who was talented but was also aging and possibly had inflated stats from being on a terrible Lions team for his entire life. There wasn't doubt about the roster's talent. They had the best non-Patrick Mahomes player on the planet in Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey was in his prime. Andrew Whitworth was here, and others, but the receiving core was questionable. I mean, in fantasy football, for reference, Cooper Kupp was a high upside guy, but he was thought of as an equal to Cowboys' Amari Cooper and James Robinson. So the guy was pissed.
J-Rod was good at one point, though. J-Rod was pretty good. J-Rod was pretty good, though. No. Chill, bro.
He felt counted out, and after forming a near telepathic relationship
when
with Stafford,
he had like a good run on fantasy. It might have been like 8 games. But it was still, you know what I'm saying? It was still comp. It might not have been the 8 most game-breaking games, you know what I'm saying? But he had like 8 really good games.
The two came together and things got real spooky right away. Cooper Kupp wasn't even remotely close to top 10 wide receiver debates before the season, and that didn't change in week 1. Yeah, he had 108 yards and a touchdown, with Stafford's debut being a resounding success versus the Bears, but this was just the appetizer. 100 plus and a touchdown.
You know what LA team has a ring besides the Rams? The Dodgers, the Lakers. I think the Angels even have a ring. The Angels. Yeah, even the Angels. Why?
Touchdown was f***ing weak for this season.
You didn't say
standards.
football.
And the
you
next
said LA
week,
team.
The Colts made quite possibly the most interesting decision you possibly could make, because they put f***ing TJ Carey on Cooper Kupp, and the man proceeded to burn their village to the ground and dance on the ashes to the tune of 163 yards on a hyper-efficient 9 catches and 2 touchdowns. Prime Cooper Kupp had arrived, but there were some issues still. Yes, Kupp was dominant, but he did slow down a bit,
LA,
as it seemed like defenses were understanding that Cooper Kupp kinda is the whole offense, and their Week 5 loss to the Cardinals showed a potential blueprint of both ways to beat the Rams. If you can outgun Stafford, you can win that way, but Also with Budda Baker,
Pretty
the Cardinals
much
played press man on Kupp anytime he was outside. Anything to throw off both of their timing was a win for the defense, but this is the issue with doing this versus Sean McVay, because he can and will adapt. And from here, he supercharged Cooper Kupp with testosterone and rage. And soon enough, the whole league would be forced to look at Kupp and the Rams as possibly the favorite to win it all. And of course, Kupp and Stafford bounced back with 2 straight wins versus the Seahawks and Giants, where Kupp averaged 111 yards per game and a touchdown. But
you remember when the Steelers was like 11-0 and finished 11-5? Fucking crazy. That shit was fucking crazy. Them niggas was on a nice fucking run and then went 11-5. How, I don't know. I don't fucking know.
In week 7, we got the defining performance of the regular season for the Rams, and this game meant everything to one man. Matthew Stafford versus the Lions was cinema and will always be cinema, okay? But in this game, Stafford lit up the Lions in a comeback win and used his new modified nuclear weapon in Kupp to flex all over the Lions with the same precision and near telepathic relationship he once had with Megatron, as Kupp had 156 yards, 10 catches, and 2 touchdowns. The man was legitimately unguardable. Anytime the Rams needed 4 yards, Kupp was there to make the play, and you couldn't even guard him one-on-one or think about it. Cause
hey, Free Willy, go on, bro. That's your first time chatting. Don't do too much.
McVay would put him in motion and basically have him running his route before the ball was even snapped. But before we continue, this video is sponsored by was only somehow beginning. Week 10, 122 yards. Week 13, 96. Followed by 129 yards, 123, and 136. And, I mean, this was all back to back to back. And during this stretch, he was averaging 10 grabs, 121 yards, and a touchdown, which led to him becoming the first player in NFL history with 100 catches and 10 receiving touchdowns in the first 12 games of a season. So, you know, a cheeky little record that even Jerry Rice couldn't get, but by now it was clear. Cooper Kupp was the best wide receiver in football. It wasn't Justin Jefferson, it wasn't Jamar Chase, who were both young, it wasn't Tyreek, it wasn't Devontae, not DeAndre Hopkins, no. It was this slot receiver who's never had multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons until now. But with 3 weeks left in the season, Kupp was about 350 yards away from the most sought-after record of all legendary wide receiver seasons in the modern era that is yet to be achieved, the 2,000-yard season. But by this point, Kupp could settle for some other records. I mean, even with a team as wide receiver rich as the Rams, Kupp now owned every Rams receiving record there was for a single season.
You gotta play the game.
Most receptions in a season by a Ram. Most receiving yards in a season by a Ram. Most receiving touchdowns by a Ram since the merger, and he was going past those records. At this point, they were all his, and now he wanted more. He wanted NFL records. Week 16 went pretty well. He had another light 10 catches for 109 yards, but needed 200 plus yards in the final 2 weeks of the season. But he fell just short of that, as the final week of the year for the Rams technically didn't have anything to be played for, and they fell to the 49ers, letting them in the playoffs, and Kupp fell just 53 yards short.
Oh, you're talking about last year? Season. Yeah, Noah and Josh told me to watch out for Chase Young. I think Chase Young finished the season with like 2 sacks.
So sadly, he had to settle for the second most receiving yards in NFL history behind Calvin Johnson, another Stafford buddy. The second most receptions in NFL history behind Slant Man, and the league was thinking about giving him the MVP. He was so dominant, so unstoppable.
He should have won
finished
MVP
third in MVP voting behind Rodgers and Thomas, becoming the first wideout to get first place MVP votes since 1998 Randy Moss. And instead, he had to settle for the Offensive Player of the Year.
Michael Thomas got hurt and could just never bounce back. Also, he was shit-talking all of his coaches and like teammates and shit. Not all of them, but you know.
In a landslide. And the Triple Crown, which meant he led the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, becoming at the time the 4th player since the merger to do.
But Ty, I say they should go through it. They should do what college football does. They should have the MVP, but then have awards for quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, O-line, D-line, backer, and DB.
That. So, okay, this is all pretty impressive, right? I mean, he's got like 30.
The problem is, if they incorporate that now, people are going to be like, what if? Well, Jamar would have had one last year, but you know what I'm saying? But they should start it. I would run your shit in Madden. I ain't even going to lie. It's a good thing I ain't playing Madden right now.
35 records to his name, but there's been legendary seasons in the recent past by wide receivers like 2019 Michael Thomas, 2015 Antonio Brown, even Calvin Johnson too in 2012, but all these seasons ended in heartbreak.
Yeah. You can make a case. He had 2,000, he had like 2,200, I think, total yards, 24. No, Saquon had like 2,600 total yards, right?
No rings, just disappointment. And Cooper Kupp had a chance to change the narrative around that completely, and he did.
They can call it the Jerry Rice Award. Literally.
First round was a bit of a layup. The Rams played the Cardinals at home, who were once a threat, but since had a historic collapse, which meant Kupp didn't even have to suit up for this game. But he did, and his new wide receiver mate,
Braun should have at least 15.
Jr. also helped them both combine for 11 catches, and with Stafford
Seahawks
only
might get
attempting
17
passes, there wasn't much they needed to do, and they won by near 30. But what lay in front of them was quite possibly the best team in football. Tom Brady wanted a repeat. And this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team was as loaded can be. Both of these teams, honestly, were stacked with veterans, and both were starving for some more jewelry. And for the Rams, the game couldn't have gone better.
Been pretty touched.
I thought, babe, I'm thinking during the season. I'm tweaking.
Rolls all the way in.
The Rams were demolishing the Buccaneers. They were up 27-6.
No, this ain't the Rams team with Brady yet. I don't think. Is it?
But
oh, it is.
I mean, come on now. If you know anything about football in the past 5 years, the last time Tom was walking in the league, come on now. You don't take a lead versus Tom motherfucking Brady and take your foot off the gas. And sadly for Kupp, with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, driving down the field, Stafford looked to Kupp, who fumbled. And this triggered a bit of a comeback. He hadn't fumbled all season, and from there, Tom and the Bucks came roaring back. So Kupp had the fumble, which was very uncharacteristic, but they still had a massive lead, and he was playing well, as earlier he had a 70-yard touchdown, showing that even Todd Bowles has no answer for Kupp. And the fumble was just honestly following the script. You know, it wasn't his fault because things got weird. The Rams had a snap over Stafford's head, a missed field goal, and another fumble by Cam Akers meant that the Bucks
Boy, I thought they was finna sell this game.
Stadium
Didn't they win this game though?
was now rocking as Tom Brady was about to do the
I could have sworn they won this game on like a deep Cooper Kupp route.
impossible. Again, he was ascending to his
Let me get
form,
some.
And with 2 minutes left, the Rams defense had to come up big, and they did not. 4th and 1, Fournette scored, and it was a tie game, 27-all. The Rams were on the verge of a collapse that would go down in history forever, and Tom Brady would be propelled to an NFC Championship game.
How? How is this? Leave my shirts alone.
Meaning in his first 2 seasons in the NFC, he would make 2
My shirts
NFC
ain't even that
championship
good.
games. And the only players the Rams could rely on to save them from this dark timeline was a quarterback in Stafford who's playing in his first divisional round game
I'm
ever,
injury prone.
and a slot receiver who's always
So much better.
been overlooked and underrated. But what happened next is a moment that will go down in NFL lore for the rest of time. They did it! The game was over. The scriptwriters wrote a perfect story for another legendary Tom Brady comeback, but Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp could not have cared less. They were not having any of that. Stafford hit Kupp twice in a row, and the most clutch play all season from Stafford to Kupp for 44 yards. Getting 64 yards in 2 plays set up a chip shot 30-yard field goal to win it after almost stealing defeat from the jaws of victory. Holy hell, okay. Well, Cooper Kupp just had a light 11 catches for 183 yards and a score, including 2 ridiculous clutch grabs. But for the next team, they'd need another vintage Kupp performance because they faced the beast that they led into the big dance themselves. The 49ers were also arguably the best team in football, with like 8 Hall of Famers in their prime, led by a ridiculously efficient run game, an elite defense, and Jimmy G. But this team was elite, and on paper was better than
Jimmy G was selling y'all for years, too.
the Rams, and they even beat them both times this season, even blowing out the Rams in Week 10. But Kupp, again, played an elite game. But luckily, the Rams made the perfect decision to fall down 10 to a Kyle Shanahan team in the playoffs, and on the biggest play of the game, when they needed just a yard on 3rd and 1 in the 4th, Stafford found Kupp for a score, but they still needed more. The Stafford arm punt happened. Let's ignore that. But after catching a break, it was back to the fundamentals.
Softy look away, bro.
3rd and 10. Kupp, first down. And now the game was tied at 17 all. And shockingly, Jimmy Garoppolo was not built for this moment. And Matthew Stafford and Cooper Mother Kupp were. I mean, you can't make this up. Dead serious. Again, the most important play of the season. 3rd and 3. The Rams needed to keep the drive alive, kill a bit more clock, and get in better field goal range. And what do the Rams do? They put Kupp in the slot. Stafford threw it to him before he even broke on his route, hit the perfect tight window in stride, and Kupp made the grab that would eventually ice it. The Rams took a 20-17 lead. Aaron Donald finally called game, and the Los Angeles Rams were now in the Super Bowl. So all of this has just been insane. In the first full 2 games that Kupp has played in this playoff run that
All I'm gonna say is when my team win a bowl, I'm acting stupid.
were competitive,
It's gonna happen
he was
one day.
averaging 10 catches, 162 yards, and 1.5 touchdowns a game. He just had the greatest regular season ever by a wide receiver, and he somehow was taking his game to another level in the playoffs. And
I'm gonna win one.
now it was Super Bowl time. And with the
I'm
Bengals
gonna see them
knocking
win
out
one.
the Chiefs, Bengals-Rams was really anyone's Super Bowl to win, except the Bengals did not have a Cooper Kupp, and they also didn't have an Aaron Donald, but this isn't his video. No disrespect to Jamar Chase,
I was finna say, yeah, like Jamar wasn't good.
but Cooper Kupp was
Nah, this is 23. I know KLS is gonna be nice.
just
I'm already knowing it.
untouchable this year. But the Super Bowl was everything
He
we
not
could have asked
retiring
for
mode,
and
though. He
more.
just
And
talking.
all game long, the Bengals were
think so.
slightly in control. Just slightly, though, because the Rams defense, for the most part, was playing well. And the fourth quarter was where the Rams would have to take this game for themselves if they so chose to. To this point, Kupp was kind of held in check. He only had 3 catches with 6 minutes left in the season for both teams, and down by 4, what happened next cemented this season as undoubtedly
What?
the
Let's go,
greatest
Luis.
in NFL history for any receiver. All
nigga
that
said
offseason work,
pause.
all those film sessions, all those reps during the season for Stafford and
Yeah,
Kupp
Jet.
in games and practices paid off. 4th and 1, season on the line. Kupp gets the ball for the first. 2nd and 7, with the Bengals defense playing a perfect coverage for the play, Stafford throws a no-look pass to freeze the defender, which was entirely necessary. Once again leading Kupp to the spot he knows he's going to be in to get them inside the 25. Just insanely high-level football on the
God.
biggest stage with the most pressure in the world on both of them. But then we got the controversial holding call, which changed
that holding was bullshit. I'm sorry.
everything. Was it a holding? Maybe slightly, but on that stage, I don't know if you can call that. Regardless,
I'm not
though,
calling
Cooper Kupp remained unguardable. And what happened next? Well, it doesn't take more than half a brain cell to predict what took place. Sean McVay knew when to keep it simple. Stafford fade to Kupp.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. A jump ball to Cooper Kupp is the ultimate disrespect because that nigga ain't even that tall.
And the game was over.
Cooper Kupp was 6 foot. Oh, he's 6'2". Okay, never mind. But he's not a jump ball person though. Still, my point's still valid.
After the Rams'
That
best
ain't
player,
Remy.
Aaron Donald, called game. And that was it. The Los Angeles Rams were Super Bowl champions.
It's not
and
Remy.
Cooper Kupp with 5 receptions, including a game-sealing penalty
No, it's
draw
not
with
Remy.
8 catches for 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Cooper Kupp was named the Super Bowl MVP, and the Los Angeles Rams were Super Bowl champions. To go along with his 18 other records and awards he already got this season, and by the end of the year, Cooper Kupp redefined what it even means to have a great wide receiver season, and I can say this confidently, that there will never, ever, ever, ever be another year like Cooper Kupp's 2021 NFL season. But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one. And if you did like this,
Cooper Kupp a merchant of weak ass matchups. He go against practice squad CB. He can only go against the schedule. What you mean? It ain't his fault.